The Cursed World of Mandalore, The Night of 1,000 Tears, and the Mandalorian Purge. Why exactly is Mandalore, the original homeworld of the Mandalorians, so cursed and unpure? The Mandalorian has returned for a third season with our answers, and in this first episode, we have finally a recontextualization of much of the Mandalorian belief system, especially concerning this cursed world of Mandalore. Spoilers lie ahead for episode 1 of season 3 of The Mandalorian. In various interactions between Bo-Katan, the Armorer, and Din Djarin, all sides of the Mandalorian schism believe the world of Mandalore itself to be not only cursed, but outright uninhabitable. With this not being only limited to Din Djarin's tribe and the Children of the Watch, nor is it specific to Bo-Katan and what remains of Death Watch, as both orders and groups of Mandalorians address this claim. So why exactly do they believe that Mandalore is so cursed, and what events in the Mandalorians' history have led both of them, as well as their respective supporters, to believe that Mandalore is a lost world? Well, today, Acolytes of the Force, welcome back to the archives, as today we will be explaining and forging the history of the Mandalorians, including everything we know about this superstition, as well as whether or not there is any evidence to suggest that Mandalore itself is actually a cursed dead world. The source of this all can be traced back to a dark time in the days of the galaxy, the age of the Empire, and specifically, the dying days of the Empire. During the beginnings of the Empire, Mandalore was still a united and functional world, with a prosperous warrior culture inhabiting the surface as well as the skies, some of them even being pacifists. They were able to remain largely independent from Imperial rule, away from the Imperial eye. But this would not last. While Palpatine sank his grip into many other planets throughout the galaxy, Mandalore was able to maintain at least some sense of autonomy and control. Even though the Darksaber was missing and there was no clear leader, for a time, in an age of war, Mandalore had relative peace. During this time, Gar Saxon sat in power, presiding over the Mandalorian people, and as we know, one of the most sacred artifacts in Mandalorian culture, the Darksaber created by Tar Vizsla, would soon enter the playing field yet again. For generation after generation since Mandalore the Great, they followed the principles of the Darksaber, that being whoever wielded it was Mandalore and the true leader of the Mandalorian people, except for a single instance where a Sith Lord briefly claimed the blade. During the Mandalorian conflict that took place during the Star Wars Rebels series, we see Satine Wren seek to liberate Mandalore from Saxon and come into direct one-on-one combat with Gar Saxon himself, who he believed to be the rightful ruler of Mandalore. Here, Satine is able to win the Darksaber for herself, and with it, control of Mandalore, and shortly following this is one of the only times we ever see the Darksaber willingly surrendered, rather than won in single combat. As a mistake, Satine believing Bo-Katan was more capable and a better leader and faithful servant of Mandalore and the people, and therefore gifted the Darksaber away rather than losing it in combat, which was the Mandalorian custom from the beginning. Although this was controversial at first, the superstition quickly spiraled out of control as Mandalore's history became more and more corroded by tragedy and strife. During the twilight of the Empire, Mandalore was subjected to the Night of 1,000 Tears, otherwise known as the Great Purge of Mandalore, with Darth Sidious directly ordering the purge in fear of a Mandalorian uprising, deeming them one of the few people groups left in the galaxy that could threaten his ultimate rule. This sent Mandalorian survivors throughout the galaxy shattered and disbanded, all but sending the Mandalorian Creed to the brink of extinction. Although she had claimed rulership of Mandalore and the Darksaber, Bo-Katan had not won it in combat, and so followers of the ancient way of the Mandalore, known as the Children of the Watch, in which Din Djarin is a part, broke off entirely from the rest of Mandalorian culture and regrouped on the moon of Concordia, with Bo-Katan also rebelling against the Empire for the first time. Now, Mandalore had an open target on its back, and many followers believe that awakening the beast that was the Empire is one of the greatest mistakes a Mandalorian has ever made. With Bo-Katan and her followers now openly rebelling against the Empire, the latter faction launched a counterattack, resulting in the Great Purge of Mandalore. During the night of the siege, gunships equipped with heavy repeating blasters attacked fields occupied by Mandalorian recruits, targeting the children directly. This heavy repeating blaster is the same exact blaster that we saw in the finale of the first season of The Mandalorian, and is one of the most capable and deadly weapons in all of Star Wars, able to mow down thousands of troopers in mere minutes. But this was only just the beginning. The Empire then sent out the TIE SA bombers, who bombed the dome cities on Mandalore. Evolving from the TIE GT, TIE bombers were a main source of anti-emplacement and anti-trap air support for the Empire, and often served as the first line of attack. This, at least at the start, is all the Empire would need. Presumably, hundreds of these TIE bombers scorched the surface of Mandalore, resulting in swaths of Mandalorian populations killed instantly. This also resulted in something known as the glassing of Mandalore. It also toxified the environment, making it uninhabitable and forcing any Mandalorian that survived this night to flee the world, as it is now poisoned, corroded, filled with death, and representing nothing but failure. But still, this was not the end of the night. With life fleeting from Mandalore, those that were left on the surface would be met with a grim outcome, as the Empire would then deploy the KX series security droids as well as probe droids who would scour the urban wrecks to kill any survivors. The Empire did not send these droids to the world because they were the best option. They sent them there because the very world itself was now beginning to become uninhabitable. Any Mandalorian left on the world would soon be dead, and the Empire knew this, but what was more important to the Empire was their message. A message to the rest of the galaxy. If you raise arms against us, we will destroy you. We will burn everything that you love and hold dear. We will glass your world, and all that will remain is noxious, poisonous gas, a dead world. The leader of the attack, Moff Gideon, assigned directly by Emperor Palpatine himself, watched with joy as Mandalore burned. A warrior culture outdone by the might of an empire. This small piece that Din Djarin managed to recover shows us the truth of what Mandalore has become. Following the battle, the Night of 1,000 Tears would be recounted in countless Mandalorian songs across countless creeds. Bo-Katan now not only did not have the Darksaber, but she did not have the support of her people. The curse proved itself to be correct, and the Empire claimed the Darksaber for themselves, gifting it to Moff Gideon, the leader of the attack. It is unknown the circumstances around exactly how Moff Gideon attained the Darksaber from Bo-Katan, or even whether or not he won it in single combat. Out of universe, the sequence of the Night of 1,000 Tears was inspired by the film Jarhead, which featured silhouettes of soldiers in the desert and oil fields with destruction surrounding and engulfing them. It also drew inspiration from the Terminator series, with the presence of the KX droids and the probe droids as well. It is clear though now that all eyes are set on the dead world of Mandalore from Din Djarin, who believes that the world can now be inhabited yet again. But there have been other recent additions to the lore that are exceedingly compelling. Bo-Katan, who previously believed the world of Mandalore to be a sacred place of her people, now calls it a dead husk of a world, even insinuating that the world may have even been dead before the glassing, with the Beskar mines pilfered and pillaged for generations. Bo-Katan even implies that Mandalore may have been dying far before the Empire raised arms against it. One thing is for certain, Din Djarin is on his quest of redemption, to bathe in the mines beneath Mandalore and follow the Creed yet again. In terms of a battle breakdown in the world of Mandalore in the Night of 1,000 Tears, it would be generous to call this a battle at all. This was a slaughter. The Jedi put up a greater fight against the Empire than the Mandalorians ever did. The Empire came at night, and they came at full power. This was a message to the rest of the galaxy. This was not a war. But anyway, my friends, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on our analysis on the Night of 1,000 Tears? Do you believe that the world is cursed, or is it slowly healing along with the Mandalorian creed and culture? And what do you think that Din Djarin will discover deep within the minds of Mandalore? Until next time, my friends, have a great day, and this is the way.